So if you've been struggling to trade the markets recently on futures, I don't blame you, because honestly the chart has been absolute dog shit, hasn't it? The price action has been awful this week. As we can see on the charts here, we have just been dumping and dumping and dumping. This was Friday. I mean, look at this hourly time frame. Really, really, really bad price action in my opinion. Very, very difficult to trade. And I'm going to show you how I've been trading these markets, because honestly it's been pretty difficult. But there are winners in there if you are careful and you are patient. But overall, as we can see here, we have had some pretty ridiculous price action, extremely bearish. And in my opinion, just very difficult to trade. Lots of Trump candles coming out of nowhere as well. But overall, what I trade personally is just, I wait for sweeps of liquidity. Let's just go and find a trade here. One of the trades that I took this week, there was one here, I believe. Somewhere in here. I think there was a 30-second in here. I'm just trying to find one of the trades that I took this week, because there was a decent one. There was a good 3-candle pattern V-shape one, I know there was. This one here was pretty good on Wednesday, although it was after hours. But anyway, price action this week, I don't blame you if you've been struggling to trade it, because it has been pretty horrific. But you can see here that we did have pretty silly price action this week. Basically a huge pump on Monday with this massive Trump candle. And then basically I was just looking for sweeps of liquidity of probably this low that we formed here, and then trades to the upside. And as I said, I do trade these sweeps of liquidity and inverted fair value gaps back to the upside. You can see here, I'll just write down what I'm looking for in a trade. I'm looking for a sweep, I'm looking for an inverted fair value gap to the upside, good momentum. Primarily I want a 3-candle V shape, which are the best ones on the market. And then basically I'm just looking for 1R, and then I'll scale and break even, and then just target runners for liquidity above. And this is all I do. It's very, very simple. Anyone could do this. I just set alerts at lows and wait for them to get hit, and then try and take trades. And as you can see here, this one was a good one. We came down, we swept this really obvious low. It's obvious inside a big hourly or a 4-hourly gap here. This was a pretty decent one, obviously in that PM session for most people. You can see we've got a very obvious fair value gap here. We've got this sweep of liquidity, 3-candle pattern V shape, so I'm always taking this every day of the week. I enter here. I tend to risk about $200 per trade, because I trade about 30 accounts, all copy traded. And you can see here, basically, I'm looking to target my 1R. Let's get my little checklist out. So I've got my sweep, I've got my inverted fair value gap, good momentum here, and also a nice 3-candle pattern V shape. So I look for my 1R. You can see I hit that, so I take half off there, about $100 profit, and go break even. And then I leave runners for the rest. And as you can see, in such a bearish trend day, I wasn't ever going to hold for crazy runners. Like, we weren't all going to go all the way back up here in reality, were we? Especially with all the volatility. So once we got up to about a 2R on this trade, I just started trailing my stop, and I think I got stopped on the rest at about just over 2R. So about $300 or $400 profit for me on this one. This was a good trade. And then there was actually another trade later on here, which didn't have a sweep, but it did have a SMT with ES. ES swept the low and then bounced. So you could have even taken this 1 minute here as well, which also would have been a good trade. You can see the SMT, which is when ES sweeps the low but NQ doesn't, creates a smart money potential reversal. And you can see here this one would have worked as well. For at least a 1R, you could have took 2R, maybe even a 3R on this, depending on how much you thought this was going to reverse. But overall, again, a very, very good, let me just copy this so I don't lose it. Again, a very good trade. And overall, I think both of those trades would have put you very green on the day. Monday was a bit of a mess, to be honest, with this ridiculously huge candle. But obviously, it's been tough, hasn't it? It's been very, very difficult, because the market's kind of been swinging all over the place in quite a few ways. But I think there was actually a few good trades. We've got Asia session here. Going into Tuesday, this was a pretty good trade, although I missed this because I do trade. I'm obviously from the UK, if you can't already tell. And that means that I don't trade Asia because I'm asleep. So anywhere from, you can see here, these are all on my time. Anything through Asia, I'm usually asleep. We pump all the way up here into London. London actually dumps us back down here. And you can see there wasn't really anything that you could have taken here in London that would have been good. You can see we've got nothing here that we can really sweep. This is just basically straight up pumping. We come down here, as you can see, again, not the best price action at all. This was New York Open on Tuesday. You can see we did come down and sweep this low after New York Open, but no real reaction. I mean, look at all this. This is just absolute trash, to be honest. Let me check the 5 minute here, because I have a feeling that there was some kind of trade here, but it wasn't very clean. Yeah, you can see there was this 5 minute. It was the worst 5 minute ever. If you look at this, you can see here we've got this 5 minute. And we're also including this inception gap, which is the gap that we make coming back up to close the 5 minute. You could have took this and it would have actually won. If you look here, you can see you take this inversion here and then you include this gap down here. And you can see we never actually closed below this, although it was absolutely trash price action. I never would have taken this. And if I saw this chopping around, I would have just got out for break even because it's not the kind of thing that you want to be seeing. But overall, NQ, like I said, this week has been very challenging. Congratulations if you took some good trades this week because it was very difficult. You can see here, let's go back to where we were. Tuesday market open was pretty horrific. We never got any more sweeps here really. And then after hours, we got this massive pump to the upside through this liquidity trend line that we were all trying to target for the whole of the day. Then we go into Wednesday. London Open, we pump, and then look at this. This is absolutely ridiculous price action. Wednesday was like, what are we even doing here? So we come into, we actually had some news here, I believe. I think this is one that I actually took personally, but I think I got break-evened on this before I got a 1R. Let's bring up this thing. So you can see here, I'm looking for sweeps of liquidity. We've obviously got quite a lot of liquidity to the side here. We sweep the high, we come down, we sweep the low. We actually had news, I think, at 12:30. We came down, swept this wick, which was really obvious, and there was quite a lot of liquidity to the side here. And I was thinking, maybe if we, you know, can bounce out of this area here, because we've swept quite a few lows here, and we did actually get this 1 minute, which I think was also a 2 minute. I actually entered early on this, which is something that I wouldn't usually recommend. I'd recommend that you wait until all the time frames actually close, but I remember this is one that I took here. You can see there was a gap here. I think I took this on the 30-second as well, which also had a really obvious gap. And then I was basically just targeting back up here. You can see I got my 1R. Went break even on the rest. Another $100 bagged on this if I'm risking 200. I was holding this runner for a while, I think. And then as you can see, once we started to get in towards New York Open, I was thinking, I don't know whether or not this is going to pump. But I was just going to hold it because I was so close to break even anyway. I just wanted to see if I could get some more profit. And we did actually mercifully get a bit of a pump at New York Open. You can see chopped up and down a bit. Came up here, but we never actually closed above. There was a 15 minute here, I think. And I was just trailing my stop loss at this point up into this area here. And you can see basically going into open here, we eventually came up and pumped. And then I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to trail my stop loss. And I think I got tagged out at about 3-1 here or something. Didn't quite get the 4-1 that this could have been. Or maybe even a 5-1 there, actually. But I think I made about $300 or $400 on this trade. I thought this was a good trade, to be honest. And then we got another trade afterwards, which was actually quite interesting. Let's look at this again. So we obviously create the low down here that I traded from before. And then if you look to the side here, we came down. We almost tagged this low down here, but we did sweep another level of liquidity. And then if you look here, we've got this pretty decent 3 or 4 candle V shape on the 1 minute here. Not the best momentum, but you can see we're looking for my criteria here. We come down, we sweep the low, and we get this really bullish candle back up. And then on the next candle, we close above this little tiny fair value gap here. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to risk half risk on this one. Because, honestly, I wasn't entirely sure. And especially after taking a win, I didn't want to just take a loss straight after. And you can see, my stop loss, by the way, is always about halfway between the low and the gap. So as you can see, we are currently sizing for about, I would say this is actually... This thing here is actually registered for about $100 risk, so I'd probably be about 3 micros. I'm always sizing for about halfway between the low and the gap, because if we come back down here, I want to close for about the risk that I risked, basically. And you can see here, this one did work, but it was eventually a very, very long time after a while. You can see chopped around a bit. And then we did eventually start pumping up here. And I think I TP'd for my consistency rules at about 3-1 on the rest of this. So I was maxed out on consistency. I think I made about $700 or $800 on this overall. Really weird day though, with properly crazy seek and destroy conditions. You can see we came up to these highs again here and somehow didn't break them again, creating this trend line. It seems like we've been creating these really obvious areas of liquidity for a while. We come down, we sweep the low again, and then we pump up again. And basically after this I was done. I was like, this is just too ridiculous now. And then going into the next day for Thursday, as you can see, New York Open chops around. Where is it? New York Open here. We come down. We sweep the lows down here again. As I said, we finally come down and tag that low I was after. Which was... these ones were tagged. And then this one here, which we just missed, I think. Oh no, we did actually tag this one for this trade here, but this was in Asia session, so I wouldn't have traded this. This was a banger. Look at this one. I wish I was awake for this. This was a perfect trade. Look at this. What am I looking for? Sweep of liquidity. Really, really obvious low. Really, really good reaction. Look, we barely tap it and then reverse. Got really, really good fair value gaps here. You can see pretty much all the way up to here. Really, really good momentum. This is always going to work, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10. This is why this strategy is so good, because it does work literally 9 times out of 10 when you have really, really good momentum like this. You get your sweep, you've got your inverted fair value gap, you've got your 3 candle pattern V shape. Really, really good candles. Look how there's no top wick on these candles. That shows you how good the momentum is. We've got pretty decent liquidity above as well. I mean, you could argue there's, you know, really obvious highs up here to tackle. I mean, this was a banger. I'm so annoyed that I missed this. Look at this trade. This was perfect. Sweep, inverted fair value gap, good momentum, 3 candle pattern V shape. Looking for my 1R. I would have scaled. I would have sized for about 4 micros by the looks of things. Take your 1R here and then hold runners. I would have probably took 1 more off here and then 1 more off at the high. This would have been like a 4R trade. Another $500 bagged. This was a great trade. This would have been a really good trade. And then obviously let's take a look at what happens then. We go through the night. London Open, we just dumped down more. I mean, Thursday was just another ridiculous bearish trend day, as you can see. No real trades here for me that I probably would have taken, to be honest, because you can see, look at how crazy this price action is. There was no real 1 minute fair value gaps here. There was a 1 minute here, which was a break even. I remember this one. You can see we've got these really obvious lows. We come down, we sweep. Really good, really, really good momentum here. Really, where's my thing that I... Here it is. Why is it copying and it's up here? Look at this. So what we're looking for, sweep, inverted fair value gap created. You can see we created 2 fair value gaps here. Really good momentum. 3 candle pattern V shape, just smashes through both these gaps. I took this and I think, I don't know if this was a scale and break even, or in reality I think it was just a break even. You can see here that we came up here and we couldn't quite get the 1R, so I just went break even because I thought, if we're going to run, we're going to run. And we have been in bearish conditions all week. And then you can see here, we missed the high. 3 times we came up to this level and didn't get my 1R. So I basically just closed it for a break even when it came back. And then as you can see, we just continued down. No trades here for me, really. There was this 3 candle pattern V shape, which I saw here. But in such a bearish trend day here with no sweep, no obvious lows that you can trade from, I didn't trade again. And then Friday was just another bearish trend day, as we can see. We did get this potential. I think I got a 1R. Let's just, I'm trying to mark my low here, please. There we go. So we come down. You can see we open up for London here. As you can probably tell, I trade London and New York because London for me is 8 AM or 9 AM or whatever it is. You can see we open up here, pretty obvious. And then we did get ourselves this trade here, which I did take because we got this really, really good momentum candle. I thought we'd probably be due for a retracement. And you can see this one worked as well, up for around a 2 or a 3R, which was actually a really good trade. And then I was done. I was absolutely done for this week because you can see this price action was absolutely ridiculous in general. Crazy bearish trend week. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. Please do like, subscribe, leave a comment. Join the community down below if you want signals and alerts for my trades. Really, really good community. We're all helping each other out in there. Make sure you do watch the video on screen, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.